we'll start with that little foot. I'm going to put the little sausage in there, that'll stop the setting jump. If it gets drafty at your inch, it'll pop your little llama across because it might get fresh. Let's come down more, guys. We'll start underneath the basics there. Don't know if I'll take my jacket off today. Winter has arrived. Well, almost, I guess. Alrighty, head down towards the arch. The last week when we came, it was foggy. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Because it ended up being a really warm day because it was like the 20 plus. Down to here. And after I finish, not this class, but after I finish yoga, going down to see some friends. We're staying over our friends live in Barrel, and they said, make sure you pack your long john. And the Spencer was really cold. It's like, I think it hits 9 degrees today, tops of 9, overnight. 0.
Oh. Does it snow?
I think it has.
Yeah.
I know it was going to be -1, but it's decided to come up to 0. Change. It's cold down there. It'll be nice to see all the autumn leaves though. Down there. So actually one of the girls I think in class yesterday said that she went down there last weekend and she said, oh, it's really like all the leaves are out and pretty and it's a nice time of year down there. Seeing all the colourful leaves down into the arch. Good, and then into the heel. I often think, what did we do? Like I know obviously we wore wool coats, but even, I don't know, 20 years ago where we didn't have puffer jackets. Puffer jackets are just really a new thing, like, aren't they, like, in terms of like big full jackets. But we used to just wear a big wool jacket, I guess. But that's the puffer jackets are so light and so warm. So good. Do the job. Alright, feet are done. Let's just roll down. We'll take 3. Breath in to start us off. Let's go exhale, chin to chest. Let those arms go, relax the arms. Allow the head to fall heavy. Take a nice big deep breath into the upper back. And bring yourself up slowly on the exhale around the spine. Stack on up. Curl all the way up to stand at the top. Take a breath in. Come over on the exhale, chin into chest. Remember, let go of those arms. Once again, breathing in. And exhale, head on up gradually. Remember, you have to breathe. At the end of that very last one, we'll come more towards the front end of your mat, or yeah, it will be front, just so that we can start the very first of the preparatory work for the glutes. We'll keep the left foot where it is, but you'll take a step back on the right. So it's as though you're going to go into a lunge. So you do a direct step back so that you don't end up feeling like you're on a tightrope. So we'll ensure that our legs are a hip distance. We'll take 1 lunge, so that's dropping into this. And then from here, you press through the left foot to raise the back right leg. Okay, and there's a little bit of glute work into there. Then you go back into your lunge, and then you press off again for that back leg to rise. So it's a lunge, balance on the front leg. So both the glutes work in this leg extension because you've got the stabilizing of the left leg, and then the work of that back leg as it elevates and raises. We'll take another 4, back leg lifts and raises. 3, 2, and 1. Bring those 2 feet together. Step directly back on the left foot, so just again checking in that you're not going to lose your balance here, because if you don't get this one right, then it will go to P-shape thereafter. So 1 lunge, and then we're going to push off this right leg now. For the left leg to rise. Step back lunge, press through the right. You do need to tip the weight forward in order to be able to elevate that back leg. It also gives you balance. Got 4, leg extension. Last one, and 1, good. We need to come down towards the floor. Bring your ball with you, your bigger ball. Bring the feet hip distance apart here. Bring the arms parallel or by your sides. Let the pelvis tip back and forward here. Flattening the back into the mat. Marching the back away from the mat. Just that soft, gentle tip back and tip forward. Balance and settle in and find your halfway when you're ready here. Knowing that that's where we're going to park ourselves in that neutral place. Shoulders will roll back down into the floor. The fingers will reach to the heels. This will get those shoulders away from your ears. And then we start with the breathing here. Breath comes in. When you exhale, you work. So it's that sinking of the navel towards the spine, and we're into the second added addition of waist pulling to belly button. We want to relax those abdominal muscles as we breathe in. We want to work on the breath out again, so sinking, and then that sort of cinching in of the waist, as though that your hip bones are pulling towards your belly button. Relax that on the inhale. Know that we get to work on the exhale. We'll just take 1 more. Prepare to come up into pelvic curling on the exhale. Just tilt the pelvis back. Take some full range ones for me. This is just in order to prepare that spine. Inhale, exhale as we come down. It's a nice way just to start the initiation of a bit of the core. This happens as we tilt that pelvis back, and then as we engage the belly on that exhale, power through the feet, and we lift hips. Ease down slowly on the breath out. Controlling so the belly controls that spine down. We'll just take 1 more. And pressing down through the soles of the feet, tilting the pelvis back, engaging the core, and rise up. And then on the return of that last one, if we bring the ball in, bring it between your knees. This is so that we now activate more of the inner leg, the adductors, the inner thigh muscles. We'll do the 2 ranges, which is just the halfway up and back down again. So exhale, tilt the pelvis back, press firmly into that ball, come up only halfway where you breathe in. And exhale, ease the spine all the way back down into neutral. Inhale there, keep that pressure on the ball, don't let it go. Good. So these are little micro movements. It doesn't give us a lot of rest because we're not getting into that full range where we go into the stretch of the movement. So this is the working sort of phase. We'll do 1 more. Come all the way up on the very next one. And then come down halfway. Keep that pressure on the ball, remember, don't lose that. Press through the feet and roll all the way back up. Let's take another 2. as I said, last one as you ease down to take you all the way back down into the mat. Rock back through, and there you go, you're back into neutral. Keep the ball, but bring it underneath the back of your pelvis for me now so that you can sit on it. And again, we'll need to obviously just reconfirm that we're back in our neutral. Keep the arms parallel, back here by our sides as we breathe out, float the right leg up, stack the knee over the hip. A little bit more belly as we raise the left one up. And then tap the right foot down towards the floor. Then bring it back up, tap the left one down. Just get a couple of these out just to get the pelvis and the core into standing where we are. And we'll do one more right and left. What we'll do after this last one, which is the left one, we'll have a couple of options with the arms. So at the moment you've got your hands firmly planted onto the floor, you could go to the next stage of lifting the hands off, just having your upper arms on. You could go just tips of your fingers and have all of your arm off and just have the fingertips on. Or you can have your arms all the way up in the air where there is no contact at all on the floor, and you can continue with that tap down and up. We just need to know that by having no contact on the floor that we are very stable where we are and we're not wobbling around on the ball, and therefore we feel like we're falling out of neutral, out of control, that the belly's not really supporting us here. One more on each, so one more right, one more left. Good, and as you finish that last one, lower one foot at a time, softly back onto the mat. Reach the ball out from underneath us as we ease slowly back down into the floor. Keep the ball for me though and bring it into, and press it into the left thigh. So left hand, pressing the ball into the left thigh here, checking in that we're back to that neutral place. Making sure that we are in the right place as we start to raise the left leg back up onto the floor. So left knee steps over the left hip and the ankle's back in line with the knee. We've got this compression here and the hands pressing into the ball. Now, on the next breath out, this is where it's a little harder. We want to raise the right foot off the floor, but not press that back into the floor. And hold it here. Now switch the right leg out in front. Bring the right leg back in. Switch the right leg out in front. And then always parking that knee directly over the hip. We'll keep going. If you need to modify it, pop the left foot onto the floor. You can keep pressing the ball into the thigh, and the right leg can continue just to stretch out and back. Okay, so if you find that you're losing neutral, get one foot back on the floor, okay, and that's going to be the left leg. We'll just take another two. And one. Float the right foot back down to the floor, then the left foot. Roll the ball across to your right leg. Right hand, right leg. Okay, on the exhale, raise that right leg up. Get it all stacked up, get its alignment correct. Okay. Contract a little tighter into the belly to float the left one up. Hanging here just for a moment. Keep that pressure of ball and hand and thigh and that ball together. And when you're ready out, we go with the left leg. And bring it back in. The same is going to apply here. That if we need to make a change, we're going to place that right foot back on the floor. Exhale on that, press out, really tightening into the belly, parking the knee directly over the hip, press and reach out that leg. Good, two. One last one. And one, good, left foot comes back in, lower the left foot down to the floor slowly, take the right foot to join it. With your ball, we're going to come on up, we're going to slide it underneath the back of the ribs. So that it props us up on a little bit of an angle here. This is where we'll take our chest lift. Hands in there. Support the back of the head here. And as we inhale, we'll float back. As we exhale, we get to curl up. Inhale, heading back. Exhale, curl up. So if we wanted to modify this one, we probably wouldn't extend so far over. We've made them little smaller ones. But if you do extend it all the way over that ball, you know that you've got a lot further to come back up, so there's greater range, more effort. One last one here. Now we'll stay with it, but we add the hula. So next time you come up, take a twist across to the left, and then drape back over the ball. Take a twist across to the right, exhaling, and drape back over that ball. Watch the knees don't wobble around. One more each way. Our last twist sends us over to the right. When we come back into the center, reach the arms out in front. Use your belly. Pull, 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 pull. Oh, out just that. Remove the ball. And then come back down to the floor. Using your belly, ease all the way back down. Take the hands behind the back of the head as you come down. Feet are probably a little bit too far away, so you might want to wriggle them in. We're going to come into our spine twist. This is a side-to-side movement. Now, a couple of things might happen here. It may not always be possible to get these elbows to float down towards the floor, particularly if the chest is a little tight. So my suggestion is going to goalpost arms, which is where you can get your elbows onto the floor, but your hands or your fingers point up to the roof. Or if you need more stabilisation, pop those hands back onto the floor for me here. Go back in, check that you're in neutral before you start to float each of those legs back up to stack over the hips. Closing the legs in, ankles and knees glue into one another here. Take a breath in and you'll head to the left on this. And then on the breath out, the legs float back to the centre. And we only come as far as we can whilst those elbows stay on the floor. So I usually cue you and say, look, you know what, think of a clock face. Your knees would go out to say the number 10 on the clock face. And the number 2. If you go too far, you won't effectively be able to bring these legs back to centre. You'll end up having to literally flick them back or use momentum to bring them back. So we want to forget about the legs and put all our energy and focus into the obliques, the side belly muscles. Breathing in. And then exhale, pull back to centre. Taking it again on the inhale. And using the belly on the exhale. Each way. Always mindful that the opposite side pulls us back. So trying to pull back through the ribs, the waist, and then the hips follow us. When we finish the last one, draw the knees into the belly, give yourself a little hug here. And we can use this to bring ourselves up to sit, or you might roll over to your side, whatever feels comfortable. Either way, it's going to bring us up into sitting. We'll need two things, one ball and our band for this one. The band at this stage can go onto the floor. Ball's going to sit here between the knees. We're going to squeeze the ball in towards the knees, feet are onto the floor here. And this is part of our rollbacks. Inhale as we exhale, squeeze into the ball and roll back. Inhale and then exhale, keep squeezing into the ball, plant the feet into the floor and curl back up. What we want to be mindful of in this is that we don't end up trying to use the fronts of these legs. Okay, so we've got to really try and pull into the core, relax the thighs and use more of the belly. So it's an exhale to go into that round spine, to lock it into place. Inhale and then exhale deeper into the belly so that you don't feel the fronts of the legs working. Good, let's take two more. Soften the legs, but tighten the belly. Pull, pull, pull using it. We'll go one more and then we're going to add the band into the story. Okay, here goes the band. Into the hands with a little bit of tension, a little bit of a pull. Inhale, exhale. Now on the inhale, float the arms as you pull the band apart. Then bring it back out in front. Curl on up from here. Exhale, curl back. Pressure onto the ball. Float the arms. Don't fall back. In front. So you start to notice that as the arms go a little further back, we have to dig a little bit deeper into that belly. Otherwise, the arms are going to take us to the floor. We're going to lose our balance. And we're going to collapse into that back. Squeeze into the ball. Float the arms. Back in front. Okay, keep the ball, but bring it down here. You can see what's going to happen. The ball's going to start to wobble. We're going to start to lose balance. So again, the only way we can keep that balance is by drawing these legs in. So we want to imagine that the ball's back here. And we have to dig deeper into that core. Inhale, exhale. Float the arms, don't move those legs. Then back up. Good. Exhale. Arms in front. Just two more. Roll back. One more. Okay. Stay with it. Come back. Arms up. Legs out. Legs in. We'll just do another 4 of these, so roll back. Do the arms and the legs together now. Curl back. As the arms go up, the legs come out. Curl back. Arms up, legs out. One more. Curl back first. Float. Bring in. Awesome. Take the band with you. We're going to loop it around the right foot. Come with me down to the floor. We'll go to a little hamstring stretch here. And toes will go down and the heel presses up. See if we can find in a little bit of stretch into the calf. Change the legs. toes down and press out through the heel. Good, bend the leg, release yourself out of the bend. Run the leg back down to the floor, take the right leg up towards the ceiling. Checking that you've got your neutral position whilst you are in here. This is part of that, what we call the leg circle series. But the legs are going to go outwards for a slight change. Turn this right leg out. So it's in its turned out position. Breathe in, open the right leg out to the right hand side. And then bring it back in, parking it directly above its hip. So we want to be really mindful that as the leg goes out that we don't feel like we're loading out on that right hand side or that right arm. And when we draw it back in, we're really trying to pull back in through the inner leg, so that adductor muscles. And then a little bit more navel the spine to help the leg float back to center. Okay, inhale. Exhale back in. Really careful that we're not pressing down through those arms. And even things like the back of the head, sometimes we get a little bit conscientious and we try and push down or bear down into the mat. Let's take one more. And park it there. Alrighty, so you have the option of just sliding the left heel along your mat and bringing it in. Okay. Or you can lift your left leg off the floor and slide your left leg out and in. You can slide it along your mat, or you can hover it along your mat. This is harder. If the right hamstring is disturbing you, start to bend the right leg more. Okay, it's easier. Do 3, 2. It's like you're sweeping the floor. 1 more. And 1. The right leg, if it's elevated, goes down. Reach your left leg all the way out and down, just so that you can get it out of the hip socket. It gives a little bit of space and a little bit of freedom in that joint. Center the left leg up. Turn it out. Off we go. Float out and in. Get out and in. Last 3. 2. Hold it there. Right leg. You choose what option you want. You either glide it out and in, or you hover it off, or you bend the left leg to 90 and you take a little bit of the load out of the core. You choose. We have 3, 2, and 1. Good. Lower the right leg down. Reach the left leg all the way out and down to the floor. Good. Walk the feet back in. Bring the ball in underneath the back of your pelvis and just take a little seat. Slide the left leg along and bring your right knee into your belly. It's just going to give this hip flexor a bit of a stretch out. Even though we're mindful of not trying to use them, they do have to work. It is part of their role, but we try not to let them overwork because they're super keen to do that. This is just a nice way to settle them down a little bit. Good, let's switch sides. So hug the other leg in and let the other leg anchor down towards the floor. Now both of the legs, as they come in, will extend up to the ceiling, and you're going to hold onto your ball just to check in that it's not going to escape out from underneath you. If you feel like it's not enough underneath you, that you feel like it's going to sort of release, then wriggle up and get a little bit more ball underneath your back here. Soften the knees a little. Just going to make this one a little easier, and it's called a reverse curl. So rather than the trunk coming up to the legs, the legs are going to come to the trunk. It's reversing off the ball and coming back onto the ball. Pulling your bum off the ball and controlling it back down onto the ball. I'm holding onto the ball, obviously, because otherwise it will probably roll away. But this is to use your lower abdominal muscles. And these are the same muscles that you use to get yourself out of that pelvic curl. You tilt the pelvis back, you engage those lower core muscles to lift the lower back away from the mat. We're doing so here, we're lifting the lower back off the ball. So we're reversing the curl action. Take 4. 2. And one last one, everyone. Keep the legs together, and you can let your arms go down by your sides because you probably don't need to hold the ball now. And we're going to go into a double leg stretch. So double legs go down, double legs come back up. So it's like you're taking the legs from the ceiling and stretching them out on that diagonal line. The diagonal line as in hundreds. Breathing in. Try not to use the legs, but using the core to bring the legs back up. So inhale, let them float down. Exhale, deepen the belly, bring the legs to stack over the hips, breathe in. Breathe out. Do one more here. Now take the arms upwards towards the ceiling. You want to think you're going into hundreds from here, so as you exhale, extend the legs out into the hundreds position, lift the chest as well now. Start to pump the arms, breathing in and out. 2 and out. 3 and out. 4 and out. 5 and out. Tighten up that tummy. 6 and out. 7 out. 8. Hang in there. 9 out. One more block for 10. Yeah. And easy. Rest it out. That ball will probably very easily slip out from underneath you now. You let it roll out. Roll the spine softly back into the floor. Keep those knees hugging into your belly. Again, we get to curl up to sit or roll over to the side. Bringing our backness and splitting the legs. The legs are going to sit either side of our mat here. We need to collapse the band into the hands. And we've got a little bit of a pull on the band, but it's not, there's tension, so we don't want it so flimsy that the arms are going to escape it. We want to be able to have tension on the band so that the arms only go sort of slightly above or wider than shoulder width. This is to take us into what we call the spine stretch. It's an exhale as we roll over. So it's almost like there's a big ball in your belly that you're rounding over, like a big beach ball. And then as you inhale, you're just lifting your chest off the ball. You're leaving your belly pressing into it. So therefore, it makes the long spine. Okay, and then as you exhale, you get that round spine because you've curved over it. The breathing gives you the straight spine. And these are the muscles that we're working, the back muscles. So as we round over, the back muscles get long and they get stretched. But as we straighten that upper back, so it's basically from your bra strap up, it comes now straight. It's those upper back muscles that pull us up. Okay. Those upper back muscles get stretched as we round over, but they work as we extend back. The last 2. And one more. Hold this one, and we call this one the hitchhiker. They're little tiny pulses back, and then count us in for 10, 9. Keep your legs soft. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Float over. Try not to grip into the thighs. Come back up again for me on the inhale. When those arms are up, the shoulders are down. Slide them down the back. Hitchhiker for 10. 10 you go. Over it is. Inhale. Shoulder blades down the back and pull back for 10. 3, 2, 1. Dive over. And curl up and sit up. Bring the legs in, bring the ball underneath your heels. So we find that we lose, this is really easy to lose balance here. If you do scrap the ball, keep this band into the hands, and we'll stay with that idea of arms up. So remember that when the arms go up, we always engage the shoulders, so the shoulders slide down the back. Otherwise we're going to end up with tension in the neck, because our shoulders are going to slide up near our ears. Keep your legs together, twist right, center, twist left. So we've got a couple of things we've got to be mindful of here. That the legs don't move, and that the waist is what takes us from left to right. If we find that having the ball under the legs is just too sort of challenging and it just won't stay still, get rid of the ball. Keep the twist going. 4 more. 3. 2. One more each way. Okay. Release the arms. Ball comes into our back, but it'll keep the band with us. We need to bring this band across the front of the mat because we're going to anchor our heels into it. This is for some arm work and its core. So this is just to stop this band from pulling out from underneath it. So we're going to anchor our heels down into it. We've got the ball to make life a little more challenging. It's going to send us out on a diagonal. You want to know that you're going to take ourselves into a bit of a bicep because we want to make sure that we've got tension on that band. The elbow stays glued into the ribs. The arm bends. So my upper arm hasn't moved. It's just my fist pulling to the shoulder and then releasing back. So the more of your band that you hold, the stronger it will be because there's more tension. You want to try and not hold the floor with your right hand, left hand I should say. No, I would probably just stretch my left arm out because you want to feel like you're able to use your core to balance you, not the help of the left hand. Just a few more. If it's too hard on the biceps, make it a little flimsier. If it's too hard on the core, just come up and sit upright for me. You can see that as we hang out the back here, it's much harder. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Switch it on over. Biceps on this side. Collect the band, and off we go again. That right arm reaches out. You're going to need that ball to stay there, but change your band to be relatively narrow. So we're going to go into tricep extensions. This is what tricep extensions look like. So we bend the elbows and the hands are coming back behind us. The elbows don't spray out. They tuck in. So you want to almost imagine, so we're going to hang back here again, that, and you don't, like I'm even going to wrap this up, because this is just more a mechanism to keep my arms in this position. My core is on because I'm on this angle. My upper arm doesn't move. My elbows bend, but my hands come back behind me. Keep squeezing your elbows inwards, like the ball's now between your elbows, or against the tension of the band. And don't let the elbows spray out. Keep pulling them in towards the center line of the body. You've got 5, 4, 3. Keep pulling against that band. 2, and 1. Good. Well, that was a little bit hard. There's just one thing, actually, we'll go lying down, about Pilates. As much as I love it, it never, ever gets any easier. Ever. I'm sorry to tell you that. Alright, so the legs are going to lift and lower. Double legs. You have the choice of balancing yourself with your hand on the floor, or you can have your hand off the floor into what we call the T position. We want to try and lift with this top waist as opposed to trying to push our bottom waist into the floor. It's not about how big the lift is. Four, three, two. Hold the last one up there for me. Then check in on your underside waist, the one that's closest to the mat. Can you use those waist muscles to pull that underside waist away from the mat a little bit more? Keep that idea of pulling your waist in towards your belly button. See if we can hold for 4. Pull in a little deeper, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the legs. Bend the knees, collect the ball. Keep yourself on the side, but bring the ball underneath your underside knee. Stack your knees as though you're going to go into clams for me here, of which we are. Top leg will open and close. And keep the knees directly over each other. Remember, if we roll back, then our pelvis has lost its neutral. Open and close. Heels and ankles stay together, knees just separate. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Release the ball, find yourself on the other side. Down we go with the ankles. Underside arm, rest on it. Up we go with those legs. Lift and lower. Seeing that the 2 hips still remain stacked over each other. We're going to wobble forward or back. That's what the most likely is here. Remember, it's the top waist that pulls the legs from the floor. And the underside waist, we're going to try and keep off that mat if we can. Hold it. Consciously pull the underside waist a little further away from the floor. Hold for 5. Keep pulling it a little tighter. 4, 3, 2. And lower the legs, bend the knees, collect the ball. Pop that ball underneath the underside knee, ready for those clams. Ankles together, open the top leg. And bring it back down. Last 5. To stretch. 4, 3, 2, and we're there. And 1. Nice. Roll over onto the backs. We get to stretch out those glutes. The very first leg we're using, cross that ankle first. Just give the other guy a chance to settle out. get to use that to roll over or rock one up. We get to stand. We have a roll down. And then we're done. Take a breath in here. And breathe out into chest, head on down. Once we're here, get that head to nod forward and back. Rest into the centre for a few people side to sides. And once again, it gets to rest into the centre before we take a breath in. And curl up slowly as we exhale. Stack the spine. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. Sun's shining. We can't complain. Hopefully it's come up about 2 degrees.